It's the 11th of the 7th, 2022, and my upload this morning is with regard to the ongoing violations against my bodily integrity. Since I've been in my present abode, and prior to that, since my marriage in 2015 basically, there have been practitioners that are qualified and that aren't qualified that have been assaulting my bodily integrity. As I've mentioned in my uploads, I'm a recovery advocate and I'm an angelic light worker. And there are individuals that have intentionally caused environmental damages in their assault against my bodily integrity. And I've experienced very dangerous medical negligence that hasn't been treated, but that has been used as a means of financial gain for the guilty culprits. So unfortunately, these efforts and initiatives are being supported, which is quite unsafe. And there's also the issue of identity theft. Now, the issue of identity theft I always treat as being an insecurity of individuals that aren't happy with what they were born with. And I find that very insulting to any parent. So that people would go to such trouble to cause offences against the state and my bloodline and my family and faith, that people would incur that much danger upon themselves to highlight their disdain for their own identity is the psychology of that issue that's been caused. So the people that are of identity theft from my identity, I think you're insulting your own family and your parents that gave birth to you. As they say, you can only be yourself, everybody else is taken. So those people that have been of identity theft from my identity, I am concerned for you. And with the advent of COVID and the concern for people's mental health, I'm surprised that there are any practitioners supporting such an unhealthy initiative. It's so unhealthy. So those that are of identity theft from my identity and my birthright, and the authorities that are supporting the offences that I'm experiencing and the illegalities that I'm experiencing, like there are currently intruders upon me that aren't actually within remit, and there isn't a legal situation actually present. It's a very dangerous offence I'm experiencing. Now, I have a clean track record. I haven't committed any offence. I'm a humanitarian. I'm a pacifist. And there are individuals in my proximity masquerading themselves as authoritarians or authorities that haven't got a duty to be in my proximity and haven't fulfilled their duty to uphold the law. So there's a very dangerous situation occurring where people's lives are now going to be further risked to entertain and facilitate very dangerous fraud. So unfortunately, my good efforts for this country in 2018 to address all the fraud that was previously occurring and the spiritual violence that was occurring that I addressed in 2018, unfortunately that's been jeopardised. And it's for the sake of those that have not respected the pillars of democracy. So unfortunately, any individuals that are assisting fraud that are in my proximity, masquerading as authoritarians or authorities, anyone assisting defamation or false allegations against my good character and my good work in this country, after what I did in 2018 for this country and the birth of legislation that is new to this country, that's a very sad sign of the times. So without any deviation from the reality, those that are of an initiative to risk this person or the child of this person or other families that have been how would you say, implicated in this matter, the initiative is unworthy. So those that are insulting their own original identity and their parents, I'm concerned for you. My identity and my bloodline is quite unique, like everybody else's. And my blood is my blood, and my blood is not your blood. So, those that are disrespecting my bloodline, I'm concerned for you. I'm aware that it's for financial gain that people are assisting this. It's property theft and fraud and financial fraud, and the illegalities regarding the property I own, they're in my family for a very long time. So those that have trespassed, we know that trespass is a punishable offence. Breaking the laws of the church and matrimony, are there God-fearing people anymore? You know what I mean? So this is what I'm up against now today on the 11th of July. This little community has been quite disruptive, disharmonious, disrespectful, preying on people's identities or properties, etc. isn't a safe initiative. Some people aren't thinking for themselves. Some people, it's like there are other people doing their thinking for them. It's the only polite way to describe it. So unfortunately, the level of rationale and logic is that much. So the individuals that think they're masquerading as authoritarians or authorities and disrespecting the law or disrespecting my rights without paying their dues, and that are living off my purpose and the legislation that came about into this society in Ireland since 2018, I can't reiterate it enough that it is at risk with regard to the exploitation and the laws that have been disrespected and the bodily integrity violations. The doctors in particular, we know the history of NEFIT. We know that there has been a lot of controversy. It's an awful word. Then there's the other awful word, conspiracy, of individuals that like a good story and that have a problem coping with reality and that are deviating from, the reality, basically. So there's a situation occurring of evasion, avoidance and exacerbation. And as a royal mother with a lovely bloodline, it's quite interesting. It's quite serious what's going on, that my child's rights have not been respected and that other children have been put at risk as a consequence of incompetent adults. It's a very sad sign of the times that in a democracy, the cycle of fraud is continuing and people that are suffering from identity issues are disrespecting their own families. If you're not happy in your own shoes, don't bother walking down my path, or if you're, everyone should be happy in their own skin. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be the case when there's fraud occurring and property theft, etc. So this is my upload for today. It's for the attention of the fellowship and the other organisations I'm affiliated with that are obligated to defend good practice, good procedures, etc. Unfortunately, the government that is aware of the initiatives that have arisen from my purpose that are not responding to correspondence since 2017, that are negating the truth and that have been of benefits from my purpose, those representatives up in the House of Dáil Éireann that have disrespected my child and I and our ancestral property and the church of my matrimony. It's very disappointing, to say the least, that there would be this circumstance occurring. The guards, you have a huge duty to protect and defend law-abiding citizens, and those that have been disrespecting the Justice Department and the law, those people being supported, I'm concerned about the future, So there's bad foundations going on with all the malpractice and spiritual violence in this community that's been going on for a while. And to have it continuing without my hierarchy of needs being respected and without the debts that the state owes me, whether it likes to acknowledge it or not, the initiatives that have arisen from my purpose, like I don't comprehend how people could expect that to be fortuitous, living off other people's work and trying to reap the rewards of my purpose that I've been working on for the past 2 decades. I'm concerned about repeat fraudsters expecting to have a free run on my properties with my child unlawfully from my care. So 2 plain dressed guards in January 2017 without identification, without cause or reason, to intrude upon a royal mother, and for Ombudsman to be aware of the circumstances of 2017 and any unlawful detainments and any further exacerbatory offences I'm experiencing, with my royal purpose being disrespected and my bloodline being disrespected. It's a sad sign of the times. So I hope the humanitarians of the world are aware of how unsafe this initiative is, how unworthy this initiative is, and how irrational any individuals making unethical, unlawful queries or questioning tactics in my proximity unlawfully